ADD is real, and some people treat it like it's some magic thing that's never been studied or proven before. It's pretty simple to run a test to see if there's physical proof of the malfunctioning of chemicals in your brain.
ADHD symptoms usually arise in early childhood. Current diagnostic criteria indicate that the disorder is marked by behaviors that are long-lasting and evident for at least 6 months, with onset before age 7. Because everyone shows signs of these behaviors at one time or another, the guidelines for determining whether a person has ADHD are very specific. ADHD expresses itself in 2 significant ways. First, some children tend to be more hyperactive. They fidget, have difficulty remaining seated, talk excessively, and have difficulty engaging in activities quietly. The other way ADHD manifests itself is through inattentiveness. Children are unable to give close attention to details, cannot sustain attention, or have difficulty listening. They tend to have difficulty with organizational tasks or tasks that involve multiple complex steps. Children and youth with ADHD often display lower academic achievement than their typically developing peers, particularly if they exhibit inattention symptoms.
And it's also pretty simple to take a pill that corrects those imbalances. Okay, my doctor explained it like this. It's like the chemical that makes us satisfied with whatever we're doing is produced way less in my brain, and that causes me to want to move on to something different every 2 minutes because I'm never satisfied with what I'm doing.
We now have the technology to observe the physical differences in brain function between a child with ADHD who has and has not taken their prescribed medicine. We can also observe the differences in brain function between children with ADHD and traditionally developing children. From this, we know that children with ADHD do not use the executive functioning portions of their brain as effectively as others. These series of graphs show that when children are asked to make a series of complicated decisions, children without ADHD respond more quickly.
Alternative medicine is a broad term spanning from non-Western medical treatments to the experimental application of molecular biological research. The problem with alternative medicine is it often lacks being able to be proven by scientific research. The recommendation of most doctors for treatment of ADHD is combine more traditional methods such as medication with alternative treatments to provide the best result. There are 3 psychosocial theories for ADHD alternative treatment. One is self-management theory, like being able to manage yourselves in certain action. For example, learning how to study for a test, like providing breaks or music to help you focus with person with ADHD focus. Another is parent training. Training a parent to understand ADHD and how to manage a child in circumstances, instead of just giving up and saying, well, that's how my child acts. Deal with it. And I can't do anything about it. A third part of the psychosocial treatment is a parent-child interaction. It provides the parent with training to be able to interact with the child that has ADHD and help the child throughout the managed tasks. Some examples of this would be providing a chart behavior using a reward system for getting homework done. Another treatment is using a video game to reduce ADHD in a group of children. It allows the children to play a video game. The only way to win the game is to use the part of the brain associated with normal children. Other treatments include chewing gum, rocking a chair, sitting on a pressure cushion, or anything else that provides stimulating movement.
It is ridiculously frustrating to have to live life while lacking complete understanding of basically everything, because you can't sit still long enough to get it. And it's legitimately painful to sit in a basic classroom setting where you're not able to move or talk or change the subject.
Regarding technology's role in affecting children with ADHD, it's easy to immediately assume that computers, television, and video games all would be a negative influence. However, that isn't always the case. Console games can, in fact, improve how children interact with material. When used appropriately, they provide them with an engaging, active learning environment in which they can explore. Also, such technologies can be key instructional tools in the classroom. Computer-assisted instruction, as the name implies, is the integration of computers into the classroom for the purpose of instructing students. Through computers, students can partake in lessons and activities. Computers also provide students with the valuable opportunity to seek and receive instruction at any time. Finally, all these tasks can be modified to better suit a child with ADHD by shortening the length of the instruction or activity time as not to lose the child's attention completely and increasing the stimulation they receive as a result of completing the activity. Despite the advantages of using technology to aid children with ADHD, there are still some glaring negative consequences to using it excessively or for the wrong reasons. According to studies, children who spend more than a few hours each day on the internet or playing video games are more likely to exhibit worsened symptoms of ADHD. It's also easy for children to get sidetracked by games that aren't developed for their development. It's important to monitor how long they play games for and which games they are playing.
This idea. The way schools are set up in today's society, I cannot function. It is literally, legitimately painful to have to sit in a seat, still, and watch someone talk for more than 5 minutes. I go absolutely insane. I would do anything to get out of there, and even if the subject is completely interesting. I was in Spanish class last night. I love Spanish. Languages are my thing. I speak Spanish. I wanted to learn every little grammatical tick about the language, but I couldn't sit there. I didn't take my medication. I had to leave. It's said so often that people with ADD are just lazy, spoiled, and looking for an excuse. People think so much less of me. I believed myself that I was worthless, that I couldn't do anything. It's really discouraging to work so hard on trying to do something that's so easy for everyone else to do, and when people see you fail, they blame your work ethic, something you have control over. When my friends told me that I can do it without medication, that I can be normal, that I can function in school, I believed them, and I tried harder than I've ever tried to do anything. I think it made me depressed to see that every little fiber of my being was aiming for one silly little success in a community college. And seeing myself fail at that is so discouraging. I can cover a song by my favorite band in just a few hours, but I can't sit through a class. I can sing karaoke shamelessly or memorize all my lines in a play, but I can't study for an exam. I can read and write in 4 different languages. I can understand 6 or 7 different languages, but I can't sit through a basic Spanish class.
To understand the students you are going to teach, you have to understand the characteristics that ADHD learners have. Most students will have trouble staying in their seats or sitting still for long periods of time. They can have trouble remembering things that they have learned. It can be easy for them to make mistakes, and most ADHD students can have problems with calling out. After you understand the key problems that your individual student has, it will be easier for you to understand and help them resolve their problems. After you understand your student better, you can assess the problems that your student has. You can now use these strategies to help your student and the other students in your classroom to have a better learning environment. The first thing you need to put in place is a clear understanding of the rules and the consequences if they fail to oblige to them. Next, you need to recognize the memory weaknesses that your student is faced with and use other memory strategies to help them grasp the information, such as using mnemonic devices or chunking to remember information. Students with ADHD need to have their tasks broken down into steps to better understand the information you are teaching them. This, along with feedback, can allow them to focus on smaller bits of information so they don't become overwhelmed. Written instructions can also keep a student on task. Behavioral management plans are another way to reduce a student with ADHD from disrupting your classroom. Putting together a plan with your student can keep them on task. As you can see on the chart, when a behavioral management plan is put into place, it is a high success rate. Some ideas for putting a behavioral management plan together can be to set a clean set of rules, remind the student of the rules daily, and reward the child if they complete their task and follow the rules.
But it's clear to everyone I meet that there's something wrong. And I sometimes feel like it's not even wrong, it's just different. I'm just so multifaceted that I need to be focused on everything. But no matter what it is, it doesn't work with the way things are right now. I can't keep going to college with my problem. There is no college for people with ADD. If I want a degree, I need help.